Hello, welcome to my first photo story, my trip to USA in 2015. There are a few reasons I'm doing this instead of a blog. One, writing can become boring at times. Secondly, most of the people don't have time to read long blogs. Lastly, as they say, a picture speaks 1,000 words. So I thought a good compiled album will speak for my trip. I hope my accent is comprehensible to most people. I'm not adding subtitles to this video because it'll be nothing different than a blog then. So plug in your earphones and I hope you enjoy the pictures with my commentary. The purpose of my trip was a medicinal chemistry conference and I was traveling with my friend colleague Cheng Shang. After a 26-hour long flight, the first stop was one of the oldest American cities on the East Coast, Boston. We landed in the afternoon, quickly refreshed and set out to roam on the Boston streets just to avoid getting hit by the jet lag. Both of us bought a T-Mobile SIM card each with ample 3G data to help us in navigation. Our first dinner was at an American restaurant. We really enjoyed the food, although the entree portions were huge. Coming back, I hit the bed at 11:30 p.m., but the sleep was a bit disturbed due to jet lag. The next morning, on August 1st, a conference organized bus drove us to New Hampshire, about a 2-hour drive from Boston. Since garden conferences are supposed to be off record, there are no pictures from meetings or poster sessions. It was awesome to have a science conference in such a beautiful location. The lectures were by medicinal chemists from top-notch pharmaceutical companies with immense experience in the area of drug development. The talks revolved around different aspects of medicinal chemistry, like methods of lead generation, in vivo pharmacokinetics of drugs, metabolite formation, etc. The concepts were not entirely new, but coming from real-world examples made much more impactful understanding. We were slightly jet-lagged towards the evening, but managed with some good American roast coffee. The interactions with scientists were fruitful, as the seminar series was more based in informal settings. Late-night poster sessions went on beyond midnight. I got some useful feedback on my PhD research. Most of the scientists had awesome sense of humor, so that was fun too. The location and weather were add-ons to make the experience more beautiful. The three-dimensional puffy clouds really stand apart from the two-dimensional kinds in Singapore. After the conference got over, we headed to Hanover, which was 50 miles further up bordering Canada. We were close to Dartmouth College, one of the Ivy League colleges, very famous for sports and athletics. It was quite deserted since the semester was not on. We walked around the small town, had dinner at a Korean restaurant, and headed back to our inn. Being summer, the days were at least 15 hours long, with the sun setting only by around 8:30 p.m. The next morning, we boarded Dartmouth coach to New York. The bus ride was quite scenic. Again, the clouds here were quite different from New London, blanketing the entire sky. I couldn't take a proper picture from inside the bus. Within 5 hours, we reached New York. Being my second time to New York, I wasn't very keen on doing touristy stuff. Checked into a hotel in central Manhattan, which had all possible amenities close by. Late afternoon, I went to New Jersey to meet one of my college friends, Vidya, just an hour away by train from where I stayed. Meeting after 2 years, we had a lot to talk, chatted away the whole evening about our common friends and life in general. Vidya took me to the lushy green campus of Princeton University, again one of the Ivy League institutions, and Einstein belonged here. There was a Princeton tour going on, which Vidya said was good, but we chose not to join them because we didn't have much time. We went to a Middle Eastern restaurant, the cuisine being favorite for both of us. We totally hogged on the food and I loved the baklava. Awesome evening spent, it was time to say a goodbye. Headed back to New York at night. The next morning, I met Cheng Shang at Metropolitan Art Museum, one of the to-dos in New York. It's a humongous multi-storied museum. We walked and saw through different artifacts belonging to Roman, Greek, and Egyptian civilizations that have been preserved since the PCs. Jewelry, coins, containers, statues, and many more antique crafts. Interesting how American Excavation Society has so many expensive ones. This statue was funny. It looked as if the couple is taking a picture with a selfie stick, so I just posed along with them. Chengshan was interested in modern art. Many of them were actually quite nice looking. But most of them were quite abstract to me. I could not make a head or tail out of it. Like, for example, this one, confounding art. Just some random geometrical shapes that we would make during our drawing classes during school, and it's still worth $1 million. Puzzling, isn't it? After spending more than half the day here, we headed out and had a nice walk through Central Park. So here is me, just in case I'm camouflaged with the green grass. We then went to Broadway to buy tickets for one of the longest running shows, Phantom of the Opera. Different shows were running in different parts of Broadway. The streets around this area was bustling with activities and people. It's just so lively. Chengshan had a lot of restaurant recommendations from his friends, so we just followed them. Had dinner at a noodle place called Toto Ramen. It was yummy. Times Square has tables and chairs out on the streets for people to sit. It looked quite nice. We then went to watch the Broadway show. We were not allowed to take pictures during the performance inside the theater. The sets, music, orchestra, actor, singer, everything was rich and elegant. It went on for about 2.5 hours. Even at night 10 p.m. the streets were still so colorful, crowded and lively. This wrapped up our New York part of the trip and we headed to the next leg of our respective trips on our own. Next afternoon, I landed down south in Florida where I was visiting my school friend Shruti. Meeting after long, we were super excited to spend some quality time with each other. Shruti had made dosa and sambar, and after a very long time, I had awesome Indian food. Since Shruti had a meeting with her thesis supervisor, I walked through the beautiful campus of Florida Atlantic University. The weather was nice, although the campus was quite deserted. After she got done with the meeting, I met with her colleagues and we chatted for some time. And of course, we took a lot of pictures. After the yummy dinner, Shruti's husband Mohit joined us and we went on a long drive at night along the widely spread roads. The next morning, we took a river cruise at Fort Lauderdale, which is known as the Venice of America. It was basically a hop-on, hop-off water taxi at 17 different locations, mostly beaches, restaurants, and shopping streets along the coast. Along the river were super swanky houses costing millions of dollars and owned by celebrities, and they had their yachts parked along the house. Our first stop was Beach Place, where you could see a lot of people basking in the hot sun. Although I come from tropical climate, I still found it really hot. Of course, we took many pictures and were sitting and playing in the hot sun for a while. We took the next water taxi and changed to a different route to reach Hollywood. Since we weren't keen on shopping, we went to a Greek restaurant, Giorgio's Bakery and Bistro. The food was totally awesome. We enjoyed the pita with different dips, Greek yogurt, and olive salad. The sun was still harsh towards the evening, so we just relaxed a bit on the beach. We also clicked some pictures doing yoga postures. We then waited for the last water taxi of the day to take us back. We were very tired by the end of the day and just enjoyed the quiet ride back in the boat. By now, everyone knows that I'm a big fan of sunsets. We enjoyed the beautiful sunset transitions from the boat. I was eagerly waiting for the Florida sunsets and took almost a time lapse of sunset that day that perhaps deserves a separate video itself. These are just a few of the distinct ones. Well, that sums up my second day at Florida. Lots of food, beaches, waterhouses, and hot sun to tire us enough. We hit the bed quite soon. We couldn't get up early as we planned to watch the sunrise, though we had a very heavy breakfast with the two versions of guacamole Shruti and I had made. We soon headed from Fort Lauderdale on a bright sunny day about 1.5 hours further down south. Shruti was driving this long distance for the first time, and that too for me, so yay, thanks Shruti. The view from the car was amazing, especially the Miami downtown side. We soon reached one of the most famous beaches, Miami. The nuances in the color of the beach water was amazing to watch. We went to top of the lighthouse to get this awesome view. The beach was really hot. Our skins were burning. It was hard to know how people were enjoying down there so much. This is one of my favorite pictures, a perfect background. This was taken by the lighthouse guard who insisted that he'll take a picture. The lighthouse was quite cramped and there were too many people, so it was difficult to take pictures with a perfect background. We had a heavy lunch in a restaurant by the beach and were lying in the shade of the state park trees for some time. On our way back, the weather changed suddenly, probably for the good. It was much cooler. It started raining at a distance and that looked amazing. Mohit, Shruti and I spent the evening chatting away, went to a bar by the beach with loud blaring music and we could hardly hear our own voices. It was an awesome time spent with a childhood friend and all the same old jokes, KV kinship, reminiscing the good old days. Anyway, goodbye Shruti, thank you so much. My last stop was back to Boston. This time I stayed at Neeraj Bhaiya's place at Westboro, an hour from Boston. I simply loved the locality of the house, surrounded by so many trees and the roads were so wide. Although I was meeting everybody the first time, it didn't seem like Neeraj Bhaiya, Lavanya Bhabhi, Arvind Bhaiya, and of course the kids, Arini and Vidyut. In the evening, we played Monopoly with kids. Oh, it's been ages since I played that game. There was a music session in the evening with Bhaiya singing on the harmonica and flute. With Bhavi's awesome pav bhaji was getting cooked in parallel. Arini and Vidya totally enjoyed dancing to the music. It was such a fun time with the family. The next morning, I went to Boston, roamed around the South Station and Back Bay area, walked and stayed around the Boston Harbor Center for some time, enjoying the chilly weather, and of course, the clouds were mesmerizing. The day passed by quite quickly, and I was back home with my family to spend the last day in the US of A. Lavanya Bhabi had cooked some exotic rice type, foil baked rice, and I totally enjoyed my last dinner of the trip with the kids. All in all, it was a great trip, a fruitful conference, meeting old friends, doing touristy stuff, beaches, and of course, family time. It just could not have been better. Dreading the long flight back, I had a short stopover at Heathrow and watched the sunset. There came an end to my 10-day US holiday. Thanks so much for watching my photo story. Hope you liked it.